Time now for Sid Seixeiro. This is where I get 60 seconds to talk about anything. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. If you haven't paid that much attention to what Connor McDavid has done this season, well, shame on you. He's got over 100 points in under 56 games. Best stretch of hockey anyone's seen since Mario Lemieux in the 90s, and he's not done. Still 2 games left for the Oilers before the playoffs begin next week. To say what McDavid's doing is special or historic is insulting you, the audience. No kidding. It is indeed special and historic. Breaking news. But what sticks out to me the most is that McDavid's doing something I didn't think was even possible anymore. These kinds of offensive numbers don't happen in this day and age. The goaltending's never been better. Defensive schemes have never been better. This isn't the 80s where Gretzky and Lemieux did what they wanted and defenders and goalies looked half drunk trying to stop it. Go on YouTube. Believe me, they looked half drunk. Everyone's raised their game. Teams, players, everybody. Offensive numbers like McDavid's shouldn't be happening, but they are. And it has been a treat to watch. So Connor McDavid, thank you. Thank you for everything. Alex Seixeiro is my brother. I thank him for joining us today. Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Al, I'm just floored by what McDavid's doing. I have no real question. Are you of a similar vein?
Totally. And you just remember it was only a couple years ago, Sid, that Connor McDavid suffered a pretty significant knee injury, right? And he opted for no surgery. He went through a rigorous rehab process. And look at him now, 100 points in 53 games. And as you said, the quickest to the century mark since Mario Lemieux back in, 25 years ago. And I think for me, the one thing that stuck out the most is that every aspect of his game seems to be better. I mean, he's always been, lightning quick on skates. To me, he's a little bit faster. He's always had a lethal, accurate shot. I think that's better. I think he's the best passer in the National Hockey League, and I think he's better in that department. And if you look at his defensive game, which we don't really talk about too often, like his defensive metrics and his underlying numbers, they're all better. I mean, he's just a complete hockey player. He's only 24 years old, and he's taking the Oilers to the playoffs. So, he's going to win the Art Ross for most points in the National Hockey League. He's going to win the Hart Trophy for most valuable player. To me, there's no debate about that. I think the only thing with Connor McDavid now is how much playoff success is he about to have? And we both know, and a lot of people know, since the Oilers drafted him, he hasn't had a lot of winning in the postseason. So the Oilers are having a really good run right now, but McDavid is by far and away the best player in the National Hockey League.
Alex, we got about 30 seconds. You mentioned playoffs. It's now a done deal. We're going to talk about this throughout the morning. But the Canadian division, the North Division, is settled. Oilers take on the Jets sometime next week. We got Leafs versus Habs for the first time since 1979. Al, in 30 seconds, do the Habs have a shot?
No, I don't think so. And they're getting a little bit healthier. Carey Price, Shea Weber, Brendan Gallagher are coming back, but it's the best Leafs team we've seen in years. I mean, they're so deep up front. Freddie Anderson playing tonight, coming back from injury. It looks like Zach Hyman is going to play night 1 of the playoffs. You got Jack Campbell as your 1 in net. You got Freddie Anderson as your 1A. And I think if the Leafs are going to make a really significant run here, Sid, I think they're going to need both goaltenders. So I think the Leafs are too deep. But you know what? This rivalry, I think it's needed a bit of a spark. And thank goodness, for the first time in eons, love using that word, Leafs Habs in the playoffs. It doesn't get much better than that starting next week.
Eons is underrated. Alex Seixeiro joining us, not only from Sportsnet 590 The Fan, I undersold you, 680 News as well. Also, my brother. Thank you, brother.
True. Thanks, Sid.
Yep, it's science. We're going to take a break. Coming up after the break, you sound off. AstraZeneca yesterday, the Ontario government said, we're putting the brakes on it. Took a lot of people by surprise. The messaging behind AstraZeneca, what do you make of it right now? We want to hear from you. 1-866-267-3797, feedback at breakfasttelevision.ca, at Breakfast TV on Twitter 24/7. We read all the tweets, believe me. You sound off coming up at 6:44. Good Wednesday morning, Toronto. You're watching BT.